All right. Hello, Sonja, and welcome to your coaching session. So I am going to read the 3 struggles that you're having right now. And as I do so, I want you to breathe and just drop in and just see which one brings up the most emotional charge. And after I read them and you check in, then we'll start from there and we'll dig in.
Okay.
So the first challenge is kind of just feeling adrift in your life, untethered. So take some deep breaths and just notice what arises in you with me saying that. And then the next thing is feeling unhealthy and overweight and trying to regain your health. So just sitting with that and notice what arises. And then the final thing is the stress and just uncertainty and, kind of big energy you have to put forth in building your, a new business. So breathe and feel that in your body. So out of those 3 things that I mentioned, which one pops out a little bit more than the others for you?
A tie between 2 and 3. The second one pulls more at my heartstrings.
Mm.
And the last one with the energy pulls more in the core of who I am.
Ooh.
Like Mula Bandha, like that low gut feeling.
Okay. So maybe we go there. We can choose any, but I think that might be calling a little bit more. So, what is the hardest part about, building your business, or what is the thing that cycles through your mind the most that's causing you the most stress?
I would say the energy that's involved in it, because it's also piled on with moving to a brand new state, moving to 8 acres of wilderness land that we have to clear and get power and all of. So it's I think it's in conjunction with just the day-to-day living. And then some of it is also not being a part of the tight-knit community because I'm new here. People are very friendly and welcoming. Also, we're not what they would call original nuggets.
Oh, okay. So you have to kind of like earn your spot within the circle or something within the winner's circle.
Yes. So there's that. Yes.
Okay.
And just not knowing who my people are yet. Yeah. So
Yeah.
finding
So the feeling, if you were to boil it down to what emotion are you experiencing, because you have a lot going on and, uprooting and moving to a new location is one of the top 5 most stressful things that you can deal with in your lifetime. And you're doing a bunch, like starting a new business, moving. Sometimes life hits us like that. So in relation to the emotion, what emotion, if you could pinpoint it, would you be feeling in regards to your business?
I would lean more towards the feeling of not having direction. Yeah. I don't know what the feeling is.
Is there any overwhelm?
Yeah. So it's overwhelming. And sometimes I feel like I'm on this wave and it's like the wave comes over and I'm like, you're like, you come out of that wave and you're trying to wipe your eyes out of the seawater and you're trying to spit the water out. You're still above water, but you're like, wow, that's not tasty. So
Okay.
I would go with overwhelming. Yeah.
Overwhelming. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what is, so when you have that feeling of overwhelm, what's your pattern? Like some people might busy themselves to infinity. Some people might shut down. Some people might crawl in the fetal position and eat potato chips on the couch. So what is your pattern?
So lately it has been to paint the studio
That is a great coping mechanism. You
which
want to
is
come to
also over there.
my studio?
Um, which I mean, the move itself has been good in the way that it has torn down anything that I would normally go and find comfort in. So
Mm,
um I've been sitting with it, and sometimes my legs are up the wall sitting with it. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, I can do, what is one thing that I can do? Like reach out to past clients or do Facebook post or, something. Um, there is a small amount of time when I just cry. I just let it out. Like, I don't know what else to do.
mm,
And so, driving the 6 minutes up the mountain, you just cry because there's no one else there and they're not trying to fix anything. So
sure.
those are some of the things.
Good.
Yeah.
So you have some healthy coping mechanisms, which is
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
some are.
Yeah. Now, if you're to like kind of get intimate with this whole experience of, okay, the feeling of overwhelm, this is how I channel it. What thoughts are creating this feeling of overwhelm? Now, we've established that there are certain things I would say. So I'm using the clear formula is something that I often use, and maybe you've heard of it. So the clear formula is a way to organize and separate out fact from our thoughts, which are opinions or judgments. So it's, C is circumstances, which would be the facts. And then L is look at your thoughts. So that's our opinions or judgments. And then the E is emotion, which yours would be overwhelm. So we plugged in two parts of the clear formula. The A would be, when you feel overwhelmed, you might take different actions like, paint a mandala on your wall, or you might cry in your car. It just kind of depends on the context. So if you're to take a few deep breaths and try to pinpoint like, what thought creates that feeling of overwhelm within me? Like, what would be your best guess?
Like what thought brings it on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, I would feel like when I start to focus on the amount of clients that I don't have, uh,
Mm.
that will bring it up. Um, when I start to get my eyes off of what it is that I'm here for, because sometimes that gets muddied. Like, do I even know my purpose anymore? So, um,
And
it's
that goes into the first struggle that you had with the feeling untethered and adrift, right? Because you've been uprooted. So there's so many variables. And then there's it's like when you don't have your feet on the ground, like, and then the whole Mula Bandha thing is coming into play here. It's like the safety, the security, the groundedness, like that is you're still kind of like, it's like when you uproot a plant, it's, you have to baby it, you have to take care of it, put it in new soil. It's like it's so different. It's like roots are getting used to it, and a lot of times the plant shrivels up for a while, and then you water it, take care of it, and then it can kind of like come back.
yeah,
So
yeah,
mm,
yeah.
it's interesting how things are playing together in that way. So when you're thinking about the first one you said was lack, like I'm, all the clients I don't have, right?
Right.
So then we get curious and intimate with these thoughts as far as like what's the meaning underneath that? Because if we just, okay, so I don't have clients, okay, then somebody, another person might be like, oh, good, I have time to relax. But there's another meaning behind that, a deeper meaning. So why is that a big deal?
So the not having clients is a big deal and I do fill my time when I don't have them. So I've learned how to like, oh, I'll clean the office or I'll do something at we call it base camp because there's no home there yet.
Yeah, sure.
We're just basically glamping right now. But that ties back into when there's no clients on the roster, then that directly impacts the income. One. And then it's like, oh, will I be able to make my rent for the office this month?
Sure.
And then that also plays into not being able to contribute to helping to build the home that we're trying to build financially. And then also it's this, I didn't realize it, but the town that we live in is just saturated with massage therapists, which is okay because I don't tell people I do massage therapy because mine's more clinical. It's more sports. It's a lot less bougie and more I'm working with people who are in dysfunction physically.
We would get along. We would probably trade services if you're closer because I do a little similar thing. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not everybody's, shot of espresso. And but I'm also okay with that. Because I have learned in my 55 years of not settling and doing something just because I can. Like I can do really lovely hot stone massage. I can. But it doesn't help to fulfill me. And so I think that's the other side of looking at my schedule and not seeing it semi-booked, because then I feel like I'm not fulfilling what I've got to give, like the gifts within me.
Okay, pause there. That's a big deal for you. So that feeds into the drift, that feeds into the purpose, that feeds into some of these things. And I can tell some emotions came up for you. So take some deep breaths. So we're getting, I'm so grateful for this sacred exchange and you're being vulnerable. And, I know you've been on the healing path for a long time. So what's coming up for you, like emotionally around that?
Not one is not, and I don't know how a quick way to say it, but not fulfilling like the reason why I'm here. I feel like we all have purpose. And that if I'm not able to share that, then really what's it all for? So it's bringing that up. And then also just this glimmer of failure. I think that would be a strong emotion that is coming up.
Yeah, so the failure is tied to maybe shame.
More of disappointment rather than like I don't want to be disappointing to my husband, who's also my best friend. Don't be disappointing to our adult kids. Don't want to be disappointing to the clients that I do work on.
Sure. Yeah. So there's this vulnerability and, you're uprooted in so many different ways. There might be a feeling of like insecurity, which would be perfectly normal, of course, like new town. You're not in the like inner nuggets or OG nuggets or however you say.
Hopefully nobody from the area is watching this.
They're like, what do you mean?
That.
So it sounds like what we've uncovered are a couple of needs. And, as your coach today, I want to let you identify, like, so there's some big emotions that are coming up and, we're understanding the reasons, and you're doing so with such beautiful compassion. I know you're a yogi. So what are the needs that you have that could be causing these big emotions to come up?
Connection. I feel like, I feel like I'm still on the outside, kind of looking in. And I have met some really lovely people. I just not yet feeling connected. So I think that's the big one.
Okay, I agree. All right. So we're going to use some yogic tools, which I know that you're familiar with. And we're going to reestablish the connection for you, because the biggest connection that you're missing, and again, it's like, I love when people are real with me, and it's like we do these spiritual practices and like meditating, doing asana and all these things. But it's like when we have these big life circumstances that kind of shift us, it does kind of put us in flux. And I had a client once, she was saying, Erin, I don't get it. I'm running every day. I'm doing yoga. I'm meditating, I'm still like, it was like her mom was like just passed away. She's like, and I'm still feeling this grief. And I said, what if it's just because you do these practices, it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel those things. It's just going to help you to be a little bit more graceful as you have the fullness of your human experience. And she's like, oh. So I know that you're with it. So let's take some deep breaths and just draw inward to your beautiful inner universe. And just start by inhaling and exhaling. And you can add some ujjayi breath to add some texture and sound. For those at home listening, if you listen to my podcast, you probably know what ujjayi breath is, but it's a breath that we use. It's a psycho-spiritual breath. We use it in yoga practice. You can use it in other ways, and it helps to connect the mind, the body, the heart, all together in unison. It has many, many different functions, but that's one of them. And I want you to, as your eyes are closed, just imagine them kind of turning up, back, and then down towards the root, towards the Muladhara chakra. So you're just deeply going inward. Now, in a few moments, at the bottom of your exhale, I'm going to have you just gently hold the exhale and just do a few kind of Ashwini mudra. So engaging and releasing the anal sphincter. And then we'll kind of move from there. So take a deep breath in. Exhale. Kumbhaka, hold that exhale and just squeeze and release a few times, that Ashwini mudra, gently lifting and lowering. And then inhale. Exhale. Hold the exhale, Ashwini mudra, 5 to 8 times. Engage and release, engage and release, engage and release. Inhale. Exhale. Hold the exhale, Baya Kumbhaka, Ashwini mudra. So she's holding the exhale, engaging and releasing the anal sphincter. And then next inhale and exhale. Good. Take a moment. You can keep your eyes closed if you like, and just notice any sensitivity rising. Notice anything coming up. Good. And then we're going to switch it to the front, and we're going to do, for those of you listening at home, it would be kind of like a Kegel, pelvic floor lifting and lowering. We call it Mula Bandha. So again, deep breath in, exhale, and then lifting and lowering Mula Bandha. Trying to find that suction again of connecting to the earth's energy. And then inhale. Exhale. Bottom of the exhale, Mula Bandha. Lifting and lowering a few times. And then inhale. Exhale. One more time, holding it. Lift and lower, Mula Bandha. Inhale. Exhale. take a moment to just sit with any energy that is arising, holding compassionate space around it. Just gently imagine like your muscles just hugging into the bones, it's like all of a sudden the shoulders, muscles around the shoulders hug in just very gently. The hips hug in just a tiny bit. The muscles around the rib cage and spine, all like they're just supporting you, just hugging in. It's a reminder that you're not alone here. You're connected. And so we're going to do one more technique where we're going to combine the Mula Bandha engagement and release along with an inhale and an exhale. So we're going to do Sudarshan Kriya, so hum breath. So we'll inhale, and as you're inhaling, you'll just start to lift Mula Bandha. As you exhale, letting go. Inhale, lift, exhale, let go. And I'm going to give you a different rhythm. So hum, and then I'll like speed it up. And this is really going to just kind of get the connection going, the energy up. And then we'll kind of see what comes from there. Just using the sacred tools of yoga. So, okay. Now take a deep breath in. Exhale out. All right, combining the Mula Bandha and the breath. So inhale, and so hum. 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 So hum, 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 so hum. Inhale and Antara Kumbhak. Hold the breath at the top. Exhale when you feel ready. Good. And then just notice the feelings kind of moving through you. And so I know that you know these tools, and using them to like process these emotions that are coming up, but also that wanting for connection. And the most important thing for yogi is connection to source, connection to that sort of greater truth, that greater self. And so as you do these techniques, and I know that you know this, it's that cerebral spinal fluid is moving up and down your spine with sacred wisdom, with this energy. Is sort of like, when we get into overwhelm and then we're uprooted and then we're not around our Sangha, our like usual people, then it's like, things can get distorted and all this. And this is the human condition, right? So it's like coming back into that feeling of connection, that feeling of the Shakti energy coming up and then housing it as you know how to beautifully do within your body. So breathe, notice the energy, and let's just check in and see where you're at. How are you feeling? What's going on?
Feeling good, feeling it was nice to be able to tap into building some heat again in the low chakras. Feeling like cobwebs have been cleared out of my mind a bit, so that's always it's always appreciated. Feeling more rooted rather than kind of lofty, even though I'm like on the ground before, preparing for the our Zoom meeting. Even though seated felt still a little flight, like
Levitating.
yeah, and not like in a good way. more more like oh, am I sitting down? What's going on? You know, a little lightheadedness. So feeling more rooted, a little more grounded. Um, and the word heavy sounds bad, but it's not.
Mm,
So feeling the right amount of heaviness, you know,
that's good.
that when you have to balance the order and chaos in your life and in your body. So feeling more balanced, I
Good.
would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that word that you said, like that great need that you have is the one for connection. And so, one way to, meet our connection, which yogis are resourceful, is to use the yogic tools, right? So that's one way. But I think that eventually would feel lonely, just at least I would, like sitting in a cave and just, pumping mula bandha, like it's like I have no friends, but man, is my mula bandha strong. So then I guess, I know for me, it's really important to have conscious people around me that I can have heartfelt conversations with some depth and meaning. And so, are there any communities, whether they are not there, like right in front of you, that you can connect with, to, maybe reaching out to friends more, or, maybe there's a community or two that you could get involved in there? Is there anything like that can sort of help you to meet that need?
Yes, and I've started to do that. The most recent one, we have a home, it's called the Rainbow Children's Home, and
Oh,
it helps to house girls between 12 and 18 who are displaced, who have to be removed from the home for whatever reason. It's a small home. They usually only have room for about 7 females. Um, they've got about 4 now, and I just spoke with the director, and we're going to work on bringing them here for yoga. So yeah, so yeah. And then also there is another yogi in town who's been here. She's not one of the OG nuggets, but she's been here for about 15 years.
wow, they're pretty strict with that definition, huh?
She's like, yeah, they still look at me like an outsider.
Wow.
But she teaches yoga here. And so sometimes I jump into one of her yoga offerings. And that's good. She's got a nice little group that they were together well before COVID, and then a little during COVID, and then afterwards. And she's just super excited to be able to offer yoga here, because she's been looking for a place to teach yoga where it doesn't feel like it's um, off, like where they're just like stuck on a shelf somewhere, like at a gym or something like that. So so it's a slow build. It's a very slow build. Um, Getting involved a little bit more with a local homesteading group. They meet like every other month or something. So getting plugged in with them. Um, and I actually drive about an hour and 15 minutes on Mondays to another yoga studio who does the Bikram 26 and 2.
Hmm.
I know, don't tell our Ashtangis.
You're brave.
But I just really enjoy the teacher and the community that they've got. And I like the Bikram flow, so it's challenging to me.
Sure.
Um,
Makes sense.
so and yeah, and it's just something different, and there's no chaturangas, so
Yeah, we get plenty of those. Yeah, agreed. Um,
I can do Ashtanga on my own.
yeah,
But
exactly.
to get an Ashtanga community, it's like an hour and a half drive.
Mm,
So, and I've talked to a couple of people, and they're kind of interested in what is Ashtanga. They've not really ever heard of it or done it here. So there is some opportunity. Um, which
and
normally, if we would have already had a house, like I would have already been in that. Um, but just living day to day in a little trailer. I mean, we do have electric now, so that's
Woo woo.
I know, we're kind of glamping it here. And I know it's a season, it's an
Yeah.
interesting season that we
It's
chose.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like you're trying to meet your needs, with different ways, driving out here and,
Yeah,
especially that fulfilling, touching that deep purpose is important for you and working with the sort of displaced children,
yeah,
teens. Like, I think that brings something just kind of that transcends the mind for you. It's definitely like a deep like dharma purpose. And so
yeah.
you are creating this life. It's like, for example, let's say that you had built this beautiful art gallery back home and like you had put so much work into all the paintings, and then it's like suddenly you have to move from there, and so it's like then you're like blank canvases all around you, paintbrushes, certainly that can get overwhelming, but
Mhm.
it's like I think that maybe what's happening today is like when you get out of that space of overwhelm, you get back into that space of connection, then it's like, that's right, how exciting, I get to create this new opportunity for myself, and I get to, paint new painting mandalas, like you're an artist, like, so you have so many wonderful, great, like coping mechanisms and, processing abilities. And so, I think being tuned in as much as you can, again, there's a lot going on, to what is my need, and like maybe placing a hand on the chest. What is my need in this moment? What do I need to kind of calm myself, to work through this overwhelm? Because like, you have the technology, you have the tools.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. Thank you.
Mm, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
yeah. Notebook.
Yeah, taking some notes. So, well, thank you so much for being available to coach with me today. It's really nice to connect hearts with another yogi, and it sounds like the work that you're doing is really fantastic. And yeah, I'm like um, excited to see kind of like where this goes. Like, a year from now, yeah, like what community you've created, and then how these other communities kind of like stitch in like little threads of the tapestry for you.
Yeah, yeah. Me too.
Awesome.
Me too, Erin.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Erin@erincoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Thank you so much. Namaste.